All right, Randell, Memphis Young. You and I did a live stream not too long ago together, and sometimes you just catch someone's energy and you kind of connect with it. It was a massive room of 8 drafters. I was hosting the draft on the Player Profiler Network, and I kind of liked what you were spewing off here. You're opinionated, you have definite takes, you're not afraid to say it, and most importantly, you love Dynasty Fantasy Football.
Yeah, that is me. All of those things are 100%. I don't think anyone wants to be down the middle, right? You need to have a take and stand by it. But we have a mutual friend. It's Matt Kelly. It's the pod father over at Roto Underworld Player Profiler. And he does a good job of, if his take is wrong, he'll move off of it. We're going to talk about a bunch of these rookies. There'll be some guys that I've had to move in this. But yeah, have a take. But if the evidence changes your take, have it, and then try to have some fun. It's Dynasty Fantasy Football. It's not, ambulance driving or something.
Yeah, well, you're saying it's something important, but it's important to us, right? And what we're going to talk about
100%.
today. Yeah, we're going to talk about today, now that rookie drafts have started, Dynasty startups have started, and, I think that people have parsed out the first round, and we'll talk about some of the players that are going in the first round, but it gets so difficult. I've seen players that go at the 2.2 in rookie drafts go in the third round and vice versa and everywhere in between. So because people's opinions haven't really sorted out yet. So we're calling this video players, rookies, sleepers, but sleeper really is someone that's going to increase in value most likely as the month goes on. Because you've been in rookie drafts that start now, and then if you do them in late July, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I got that guy at this pick. So that's what I want to do. I want to identify players that smart people are drafting right now because they're going to increase in value. But before we start, the RotoWire Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast is brought to you by 2 sponsors. We got 2 today. We have Underdog Fantasy, which everyone knows. You can go there, use code RWNFL, and double your deposit. And then Circa Sports in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about a great promotion they're having where they're going to bring your team, your whole fantasy league, host your draft, give you all the bells and whistles, pick you up from the airport. So we'll talk about Circa Sports a little bit later. All right, first question I have for you. I am dying to know. What do you think as we enter rookie draft season, Randall, is the biggest mistake that even most experienced players make in these drafts?
Getting past the first couple of rounds is not understanding the depth charts of the team these rookies are on. We're going to talk about some of these guys today, but a lot of these guys are literally an injury or a good camp away from being immediate contributors to their NFL teams, which means they can contribute right away to your dynasty team. I mean, I think we kind of all have got the Bijan Robinsons, the Bryce Youngs. We got those guys figured out pretty good. The money is made in rounds 3 and 4. I'll never forget 2017. I hit on a third round wide receiver. Maybe you've heard of him. His name's Cooper Kupp. A couple years later, I hit on another third round wide receiver. Maybe you've heard of him. His name's Terry McLaurin. They were both drafted in the third round of the NFL draft. And that's where the money is made. We all want to compare dynasty to like finance and business. The equity is made if you can hit on that third rounder, if you can hit on that fourth rounder. Some of them we keep, like Cooper Kupp, like Terry McLaurin. Some of them we flip, like you would flip a house. You buy a cheap house, you put some time into it, you flip it off at a profit, whatever. But not understanding who's literally an injury or a series of good plays away from having real relevance this season, and then that will turn into real value that you could potentially flip next season for a profit.
So I guess we'll get into specific names, but just off the bat, who's the example of a player like that this year that possibly is in that Cooper Kupp realm, third rounder, nobody really cares, but they'll just take them because they fall, that you could see, being like, oh my God, I can't believe this rookie went in round 2 or round 3 of my rookie draft. Is there a receiver like that this year that pops out?
I got one better for you. I got a guy who I've been getting in the late 3rd, early 4th, and he's got third round draft capital, just like Cooper Kupp, just like Terry McLaurin, and that's Michael Wilson from the Arizona Cardinals. If you go to RLads, this is one of my cheat codes. I go to RLads because they'll show you the current depth chart.
I love RLads. That's like
it's so easy.
And let's explain what that is. That's it.
Sure, go ahead.
If you just type in, for people that want depth chart, this is the up to the minute depth chart. So you just type in Arizona Cardinals depth chart. It's usually the first, second, or third link. Click on RLads, and it's easy as pie. I'm glad that you said that you referenced our lads. They're one of my favorite depth chart up to. And by the way, on RotoWire we keep the depth charts up to date too. But we are a premium site. So, but if you want a free one, our lads, go ahead. I interrupted.
Well, I mean, everybody can take the bus. Not everybody can have the Cadillac that is RotoWire. So let's just clear that up at the beginning. But Michael Wilson Jr., you pull him up on our lads. He is listed as the primary backup behind DeAndre Hopkins. Guess who there's still a good chance won't be on that roster come opening day in September? DeAndre Hopkins. I like things that are either better than or different than what a team already has. And what does Arizona have a lot of? A bunch of short, speedy little guys, right? They've got a Greg Dortch. They've got Marquise Brown. They've got Rondale Moore. They don't have a lot of 6'1", 6'2" outside boundary wide receivers. And I personally believe when Kyler's healthy, he pushes the ball toward the boundary more than he does toward the middle. Why? Because he's short and can't really see over the middle a bunch. But those guys streaking down the sidelines, running near the boundary, I think Michael Wilson's got super sneaky upside, and you can double that if DeAndre Hopkins does end up getting traded out of the desert.
And Hollywood Brown is over there right now, and what he does and what Wilson does, it's totally two different things. So let's say Hopkins is off the board. You're almost happy a player like Hollywood is paired up with Wilson, correct?
Correct. You listen to really smart NFL minds. I love Michael Lombardi. He hosts a podcast called the GM Shuffle. Mark Schlereth played in the league for a long time, commentator, Super Bowl champion. He talks about the wide receiver group like you would build a basketball team. You don't have 5'7" footers, or you don't have 5 point guards. You have to have a small slot guy. You have to have an X. You have to have a Y. You have to have a Z. You have to have a tight end. And Michael Wilson is different than Marquise Brown, Greg Dortch, and Rondale Moore. He is redundant to DeAndre Hopkins, but if DeAndre Hopkins gets moved, then he could be forced into action immediately this year. And third-round draft capital is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. You just with Kyler, I'm presuming Kyler is going to be out for the year because if Arizona is 2-6, 2-7, you can't see them rushing him back from his late season ACL. I guess first of all, so if you're drafting someone like Wilson, and you said it's in the 4th round. I mean, if Kyler was healthy, it would be easy to see him going in the mid-2nd round. I'm talking about Michael Wilson. So who do you think is going to be the quarterback in week 1? And should we caution fantasy managers who draft Wilson? It's just a taxi squad guy for this year, or do you can see some immediate production with whoever's going to be quarterback?
If you're playing in dynasty best ball leagues, go ahead. You may get a game or two out of him. I could not see a situation where in 2023, I'm going to hit the submit lineup button and feel happy about putting Michael Wilson Jr., in that lineup there. I don't know who the quarterback was. It was the guy out of Colt McCoy was the backup, but he's hurt
too.
They drafted somebody, and I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think it was the gentleman from UCLA, but I'm not. Maybe he went to Cleveland. No,
Dorian Thompson-Robinson went to Cleveland.
He went to Cleveland. So they drafted somebody.
I'm pulling up our lads.
There you go. You will know who the. I mean, I think Kyler's going to play. I think he may get pumped, but you're not going to see Kyler like you normally see Kyler. You're not going to see the running around. I mean, he's, to his credit, he's done a great job of posting rehab.
They got Clayton Tune.
Clayton Tune. I just took him at the 5'12" in a Superflex Dynasty draft.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, better than Colt McCoy. I don't know. But here's the if Arizona, they could be like a team that winds up signing like a Carson Wentz for 6 games. He's still on the market. A guy like that, serviceable veteran. He could be, but then again, they want to lose. Let's not kid ourselves. Could they trade Kyler next year? I don't know, but if they get the 101 or 102 or a really high, they're the odds-on favorite per Vegas to wind up with the number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm. What if they get both the 1 and the 2 though? Because they could get Houston.
They could have the 1. They could literally have 2 top 5 picks, and I don't know that they would trade Kyler. But what's Caleb Williams worth? I mean, because the reason I say that could they, because the dead cap number becomes so punitive based off of the contract he just signed a year and a half ago, maybe not even a year ago. But Caleb Williams would be worth an embarrassment of riches. You could I saw in the most recent mock draft they had the 1 and 2 pick, and they took Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. And maybe you eat that dead cap because you have 2 stars on rookie deals.
And they've done it before, by the way, when they drafted Josh Rosen. I know it's a different situation, but they drafted a top 10 quarterback in Josh Rosen. And at a time where no one even thought that was like a thing that people did, was move on from your top 10 quarterback, they did it. So there's already precedent. I don't think a cap number, if they think that they have an all-time prospect, is going to be prohibitive. So Michael Wilson, love that pick. All right, I want to continue with there's a lot of, I think there's 9 tight ends in the real NFL draft that went in the first 3 rounds when you count the compensatory picks. So Dalton Kincaid, I call him wide receiver, the tight end out of Buffalo, he's locked into a first round pick right now. But some of the other guys, there's Mayer and Sam Laporta. So which one of those 2 guys that go in the second round of rookie drafts are we going to regret not drafting earlier, if any? And also with Dalton Kincaid, which one of those guys do you think has value to even increase from where they are now?
I like Dalton Kincaid. He is a big slot wide receiver. I think Dalton Kincaid is going to be used how I've always wanted Mike Gesicki to be used when he was in Miami. He a super athlete, big slot wide receiver, a mismatch on slot corners, a mismatch from a speed perspective on safeties, and they never used him this way. The guy that I really like is Sam Laporta because the barrier to entry is 0. I also like Luke Musgrave because also the barrier to entry is 0. He's going to be the starter day 1. I just trust Jared Goff a lot more with my fantasy team this year. Plus, Detroit needs more options. Their depth chart at wide receiver right now is Josh Reynolds, Marvin Jones, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So basically, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Nothing against those grizzled veterans on the outside. But that's why bringing in Laporta and Gibbs was very important for Detroit. They're going to be without Jamison Williams for 6 games. Now, this team will look different in 6 weeks, but I don't think the impact of Sam Laporta is felt by Amon-Ra. I think it's felt by everybody else. And he's a guy who literally coming out of the gate could be getting, 4, 5, 6 targets a game. And maybe he's a usable back end tight end if you're like a streamer at the tight end position. I do like Michael Mayer. I like him quite a bit. I like what Josh McDaniel has done in the past with tight ends, whether that be Gronk. And no, I'm not comparing him to the next Gronk, but we've also seen use out of guys like Aaron Hernandez, Hunter Henry before he came to the Raiders. But there is Austin Hooper there. And they did sign O.J. Howard. Not to say that they're better than, but you know how coaches are about veterans and rookies, and it's a big to-do. So for me, the 3 tight ends that I see from that round, I see Laporta because of the quarterback play and the barrier to entry, then Musgrave because the barrier to entry, but I'm not sure about the quarterback play because, we got to see what Jordan Love is, right?
I mean, just stop right there, though. Good. But even if he's okay, don't these guys usually lean on tight ends when they're first getting their sea legs under them a little bit?
They do, and I like the fact that Matt LaFleur is from that McVay-Shanahan system, and they've used a tight end quite a bit. They really tend to take a couple of big shots on the outside, but they tend to work everything into a yak perspective. And Laporta's a pretty decent athlete, and if they're able to get him in space and get him on some run after catch type routes, he could have a nifty little rookie year. Same with Musgrave. So I like both of those guys quite a bit.
I'm here with Randell Memphis Young, host of the Dynasty Warzone podcast. How often do you guys do that pod? Is it once a week?
I do it twice a week. I've got a tremendous co-host named Jerry. His name's Jerry Sinclair. He and I have been doing the show it'll be 5 years in July. So we've been doing this for a long time together. Really good friend. We stream live on the Player Profiler YouTube channel on Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Okay. Then because I have a lot less stressful life than old Jerry, I guess, I try to do bonus shows, and I need to have you come on and do a bonus show with me on a Monday. I recently had I've had a lot of great people on this year, man. So 2 days a week for us. We also have some other content creators on our YouTube channel that do things like rookie content. We do some seasonal content. And
I'll put all the links in the video. So if anyone watching this on the replay or anything like that, we'll make sure that that's all linked in there.
100%. Just search Dynasty Warzone anywhere, any social media, anywhere where you get a podcast. Search Dynasty Warzone. You'll find plenty of content.
Yeah, and I've also linked your Twitter in the video. So anyone, I'm sure you post everything on Twitter. And we're talking today about players that the smart Dynasty players are drafting in round 2, maybe even round. I want to talk about a round 1 player though. So one of a very an interesting dynasty strategy that our friend Jordan McNamara always talks about is don't go get a wide receiver in the first round, take which whenever falls to you, and that's how you end up with Justin Jefferson on your team. That's how you end up with Jalen Waddle. Both guys went at pick 10, 11, 12 in their year. So Zay Flowers seems to be the guy set up right now, going at it's the last of the first round wide receivers. It's pretty interesting to me because to me he seems like one of the better ones. He's playing with a great quarterback in Lamar Jackson. They've upgraded the offensive system. So do you think that Zay Flowers should be the last wide receiver taken, and do you think he presents as a first round sleeper, so to speak?
Yeah, I do, because last time I checked, Rashad Bateman and Odell Beckham Jr. not the healthiest cats around. Those guys have missed a game or two. I think to date, Rashad Bateman has missed more games than he's played. And if you look at that lineup on paper, it's really good, but everybody has to play. And I think out of all those guys, I believe Zay Flowers has the most dog in him. Now, you may have to, don't fall for the, hey, I'm going to draft him now. He's not going to set the world on fire as a rookie, and then I need to trade him next offseason. That's not how this is going to work. They can't keep putting all the they can't keep putting all their first round picks into wide receivers. So eventually, they got to have one to hit. I think he's an absolute steal at that point. When you get into that in a super flex league, you get around that 111, 112. Yeah, because that's where the draft gets weird, and just bank on NFL draft capital, which he's a first rounder, and then bank on talent. And that makes him a steal.
So if you're let's just say you're not drafting for position, you need everything or you have everything, do you like Dalton Kincaid or do you prefer Zay Flowers at that point of the draft?
I am taking Dalton Kincaid, make that double in tight end premium. But it's just, look at the offense. It's great that Lamar came out the other day. He signed his contract, said he wants to throw for 6,000 yards. I want my hair to grow back. I don't know that either one of us will hit our goals, but I like the attitude. But I know that offense is wide open in Buffalo behind Stephon Diggs. It's Stephon Diggs, and then anybody could emerge and take a role. And I've always believed that you don't take a guy that high when you're a contender if you don't have a big plan for how you're going to work him into the offense. So I would take Kincaid there, double in tight end premium, but that's the range. That's where you have to consider, best player available.
All right. We just had a callback question. You can answer this one quickly, and then because I have so much more I need to ask you about. We had a question that's a relevant question, and it's we were talking about Luke Musgrave, who was drafted with high draft capital by the Packers, and of course somebody asked about that the Packers took Tucker Kraft, another tight end, in the round later. So does that worry you about Musgrave at all?
No, not really. I think Musgrave is a way better football player than Kraft. And that's nothing to take anything away from Kraft. Kraft is a good football player in his own right. They could. Can I re-answer this question? Can I start over? I think you're going to see a lot more teams using 12 personnel than you ever had. I heard rumors of this last year. What you just asked me about Dalton Kincaid? What do you think they're going to do with him and Dawson Knox? What do you think? And he was one of the inventors of this from a pass catching standpoint. What do you think Bill O'Brien wants to do in New England? Remember the year in 2011, the last time he was the OC in New England, and Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez were running wild on the NFL, and now he's stacking Mike Gesicki and Hunter Henry. Kraft and Musgrave could be like the rookie version of that. And do we look back in 2 years and say, oh, hey, this is where the NFL is trending? So
let me ask you, why are teams favoring 12 personnel? What's the advantage of doing that?
Creating mismatches. That's why you take. That's why I can't figure out why Mike Gesicki is not used. We reference player profiler. Everybody loves Kyle Pitts, right? Tremendous athlete. Go pull up Kyle Pitts on player profiler and then look at Mike Gesicki. He's a better athlete than Kyle Pitts. He just hasn't been used. I think smart offensive coordinators want to create mismatches. They want to put a guy like Hunter Henry on the end of the line and then have him move in motion and get lined up with a smaller slot corner that he can box out for a touchdown. They want to get these guys in mismatches. That's why I think Detroit took Jahmyr Gibbs. Smart football coaches want to create mismatches in 2023.
So we're talking about tight ends, and we were talking about the first round. So let's stick with that whole theme for a moment here. Quickly, Darnell Washington. I mean, he's a monster size. There was some mocks where the tight end was going in the first round. Obviously, fell way. What do you go in the fourth round, Randall? In the real
Fourth or fifth to the Steelers. I know that.
Right. So and I see people in my rookie drafts taking him in these premium leagues. I had heard that he's just more of a blocker. So is this someone that you're taking, that you're pushing up? Let's just say like a slight tight end premium, or you're just better off taking a shot on a running back or wide receiver when Darnell Washington's available to you in the third round?
Yeah, I'm punting Mr. Washington. When I read a draft profile on him that said within 3 years of his career, he could be converted to an offensive tackle. Big man, athletic, good blocker as it is. Again, what are the Steelers telling you they're going to do? More 12 personnel. But from a fantasy standpoint, which is what we do, it's great that they have a great schematic plan for him. I don't think they have a big production plan for him. That's Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah,
is the pass catching tight end, and then you got Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. So I am not on Mr. Darnell Washington. Although I love him as an athlete, but I think it's tremendous for Najee Harris and Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, someone had made an interesting comparison, said that's the Pittsburgh Zach Gentry replacement, the big mammoth tight end that basically is a blocker. But we're talking about sleepers today, guys that are going to gain value. A running back drafted by the Bengals in the 5th round of the real NFL draft, Chase Brown, right now is second on the depth chart. It looks like more and more now that Joe Mixon is going to be there. And even if Joe Mixon wasn't there, they would be a prime spot to bring in a veteran. But Chase Brown, you talked about at the beginning of this podcast, guys that could ascend. There's not many RB2s that get drafted in the 5th round. Usually those guys are RB3s, like Khalil Herbert, his rookie year. So Chase Brown has to qualify as the ultimate sleeper going at the middle and the end of round 2 on our rookie drafts.
So for the YouTube audience, I actually have an old school piece of paper. The second name listed on this piece of paper is Chase Brown. First of all, I like Joe Mixon. It's been my stance all off season. If you're a contender, go get Joe Mixon. I was trying to get him for seconds when the alleged legal issues were popping up, but this is his last year in Cincinnati. Period. Samaje Perine's gone, and you mean the only thing that he has to compete with is Travion Williams and Chris Evans? That better be Captain America Chris Evans and not the Chris Evans I remember from playing football, or he's not a barrier to entry either. It's literally Joe Mixon, Joe Mixon's health. He's one of the guys. So I separated this into 3 tiers. Guys that are going to do good right away, guys that need a little seasoning, there'll be a few games in, and then sleepers. And dude, at the tippy top of my sleeper list, it is Chase Brown, because A, the competition is not much competition, and B, the guy in front of him is a guy with an injury history and a knucklehead history. So Chase Brown is an eyelash away from very relevant snaps in 2023 with a really good offense.
Isn't it easy to see him being, this year's Tyler Algier is the easy comparison because 5th round, he's better than Tyler Algier. And I was going to say, why isn't he this year's Dameon Pierce? I guess because Dameon Pierce had the clear runway. He was the starter day one, where that may not be the case. But what happens if Joe Mixon, is set to miss the first 3 weeks with an injury in training camp? So where do you think right now Chase Brown goes around 2.5 to 2.8 in these drafts? Where do you think he should be drafted, or he will be drafted in a month or 2 from now?
I think that's fair. I think, but if you believe in, the long-term play of Dynasty, which is what you're supposed to be doing, you need to do research on these teams. The Bengals are notoriously cheap. Everybody's like, oh, they're going to cut Joe Mixon to save $6 million. First of all, no, they're not. Paul Brown and the Brown family are notoriously cheap, and they will get every last dollar they can out of that guaranteed money Joe Mixon got. A. B, he's right there. So I don't mind drafting him, because when Joe Burrow's mega extension starts to kick in and they want to re-sign T. Higgins, what do you have to have? Cheap players on cheap contracts. Oh, hey, what do you know? Those are rookies. This is a 5th round rookie. He'll be, by NFL comparisons, he'll be making minimum wage the next handful of years versus Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon, I do believe, is gone next year. Maybe they bring in someone from the class of 2024, but I'm not too worried about that. Chase Brown is an absolute bargain. I got another guy just like that as well, though, too. You mean roll right into it?
Roll right into it.
Eric Gray.
I enjoy listening to. I only have people on the podcast that I enjoy. To me, it's like I'm getting my own personal podcast. I share it with the thousands of RotoWire listeners on the audio podcast. But please keep rolling. Eric Gray, New York Giants.
New York Giants. Saquon Barkley. Don't let the 17 game season last year fool you. The guy's not been the specimen of health. He's a specimen. Not always the healthiest guy around. And what's between Eric Gray and meaningful playing time? Matt Breida. I like Matt Breida. Also, not a durable fella. Eric Gray could 100% be the guy that, and I don't want to put this evil out there, but Saquon, pulls a hammy, twists an ankle. He had a high ankle sprain once. And all of a sudden, you see a guy like Eric Gray forced into action. Not too shabby, sir. There are, again, this is where using our lads, or if you're, and you should be, by the way, shame on you for listening to a RotoWire podcast and not being a RotoWire premium subscriber. Maybe you should consider it. But I will tell you this, not everybody's in a position to be a premium subscriber, but it costs you $0 to retweet this show. It costs you $0 to subscribe. It costs you $0 to comment in the chat. So
you're a good man. You had that tweet yesterday. I thought that was great, right?
$0 to support us that do the content for people. But yeah, man, Eric Gray, you kidding me?
Well, let me ask you a question about Gray.
Sure.
So I've ended up with Gray in about 6 of my 9 rookie drafts that have started so far, and it's because I keep having that like 310, 311 pick that's around where he goes in rookie drafts. I'm always deciding between him and Hull, Evan Hull, the running back that was drafted by the Colts, and what was he, round 6? Hull, something like that?
Yeah, he was a mid to late day 3 guy.
Okay, so is this an easy call for you, Gray versus Hull? You go to Gray, or is that an actual decision that fantasy drafters need to make?
For me, Gray is the easier pick for me as a Colts fan, living here in Indianapolis, north of Indianapolis, working in Indianapolis. Right. Is that they still have Zach Moss, and they like Zach Moss. They traded for him. Deion Jackson has some talent. The barrier to entry for Hull is a lot bigger than it is for the other 2 guys, for Gray and Brown. Yeah.
Brown.
The guys of, one's Gray, one's Brown. They're not rainbow colors, but they're still colors.
So if we're ranking them on our personal cheat sheet, it goes New York Giants, Eric Gray's first. Chase Brown is first, Eric Gray's second, and Hull would be third out of that group.
100%, just because of the passing volume that I think Chase Brown could walk into. Samaje Perine caught. I don't have Samaje Perine stats put up, but he caught a ton of footballs last year, and I don't think Chase Brown's going to be confused with Christian McCaffrey or a Jahmyr Gibbs as a pass catcher. But there are checkdowns to be had in Cincinnati, and we know Joe Mixon's not going to play every snap. So you got to look at the power of the offense around them, the points being scored, and how soon can we get these guys on the field.
We're going to pay a few bills right now, but even though this is a commercial I'm about to read for Circa Sports in Las Vegas, I am telling you, you want to hear this because they are running the Ultimate Fantasy Football Draft Contest at Circa Sports. It's a hotel in Las Vegas, which we do the RotoWire trip there every year. We're going there again in July. It is, if you love sports, you love sports betting, this is the mecca, this place. It's downtown. It's not on the strip. It's just unbelievable facility. But they're running the Ultimate Fantasy Football Draft. Can only take place in Vegas, and it's at Circa Sports and Casino. Wants to bring your whole league to Vegas with the Ultimate Fantasy Football Experience giveaway. Listen to this, Randall. Bring your 12-person league for a 2-night stay at Circa Resort and have your draft at a Cabana Stadium swim. Plus limo transportation to and from the airport, a welcome party at Legacy Club, a booth at the world's largest sports book, and more, a prize package over $8,000. There's no better place to start than Circa, 21 and up. Go to circalasvegas.com for more information. I have told every single person, because I cannot enter this contest, that I'm in a league with, to enter this contest. Just throw your entries in there right now, and imagine that. You get the VIP treatment. I'm sure they'll capture a video of it. This is an awesome way to do your fantasy draft, and we're going to get more information about it, do some live streaming when we go there. The other sponsor of this podcast is Underdog Fantasy. Everybody knows and loves Underdog. The big board is open. Use code RWNFL. You double your deposit, and you also get 6 months free of RotoWire. We're going to give you 6 months free just for signing up. And, I mean, come on, right? You can download
I don't like interrupting the commercial, but that's incredible value.
There you go. There you
for
go.
doing something you're going to do anyway. You're going to go play underdog fantasy football, and you can sign up and use, what code was that again?
RWNFL.
RWNFL. So 5 little letters, RWNFL, and you get 6 months of this premium content. I don't know who loses outside of underdog because they pay everybody.
Right. And by the way, you could deposit $5 and get that deal. You could put in $5, they'll match you the $5, or you could put 100, they'll match you 100. But either way, you get the free 6 months. All right. And our YouTube audience, we're going to keep going, but for our audio audience, we'll be back right after this talking about more running back and wide receiver sleepers that only the smart dynasty players are drafting. We'll be right back. And we're back. I'm Alan Seslowsky of RotoWire.com. You follow me at Alan Seslowsky. And I'm here with Randell Young, Memphis Young. You follow him. What's your Twitter? It's at DW, what is it?
At DWZ Memphis. So
it's linked.
if you want,
it's linked.
You want to know where Memphis comes from real quick?
That was literally my next question. What does your nickname come from?
It comes from my best friend. I met him about 20 years ago at work, and he's like, "What's your name?" I said, "Randy." He's like, Randell Memphis Young from Gone in 60 Seconds. That was Nick Cage's character, was Randell Memphis Range. He called me Memphis, and it has never not been my nickname since. So I've just steered into it.
Obviously, I immediately thought you were from Tennessee when I heard that, but I love the Memphis nickname.
My lineage is my father's family's side of the family is from Tennessee. That is correct.
Well, there you go. There you go. And we were talking in the pre-show. You told me that you did was it amateur or was it professional MMA matches? Did you have amateur fights or pro fights?
I had 2 pro fights. I had 4 amateur and 2 pro. I like to say my toughest opponent ever retired me. That's my wife. My wife retired me after number 6, and got out of the mixed martial arts side of things. Started playing a lot of fantasy football, transitioned into what I thought was dynasty fantasy football. And it was really just a 3-man keeper league. We kept 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver. And I thought at the time I didn't know any better. I thought that was dynasty, but it was just a glorified keeper league. But that's the gateway drug, right? You go from seasonal, you go to a keeper league here or there. The next thing you know, you're in 24 dynasty leagues.
Tell me about it. I'm on 38. I'm trying to shed a few, but it just doesn't happen. They keep adding. Hey, did you do when you started playing Dynasty, did you do all the stupid things that everybody does when they start? Like, I traded 3 first-round picks for David Johnson after his peak. It ruined my I did just crazy shit like that all the time. Was there anything mistake-wise did you that you can warn people about maybe?
Yeah, that is the rite of passage. I think especially if you've had a decent amount of success as a redraft player. You're like, oh, I'll just go in there, I'll just win this league, and I'll just kick these guys' asses. This will be easy, taking money from a baby. And no, it's not. And you dig a hole that you find it's a hard, long, especially in a 1 QB league. At least in a 2 QB league, you can get lucky. In a super flex league, you can get lucky. You can maybe hit on a Dak Prescott. You can hit on a Brock Purdy. You can hit on a Lamar,
yeah.
A Jalen Hurts. This year it could be Hendon Hooker. You can hit on a guy like that you can flip for other pieces, and you can get healthier faster. But ladies and gentlemen, in a 1 QB league, if you come in there guns a-blazing, trading away all your future assets, trading all the way away all your young upside guys, you're either going to quit the league because it's going to be so painful, or you're in for a long, hard rebuild. That's why there's so many orphans out there. Guys like us, except unlike Alan and I, we stick it out. We get those teams fixed. We get those teams right, and so should you.
Yeah, no, I don't take on any orphans because I love the startup draft, but I know some people are really good at fixing teams. They're patient. I'm not a patient dynasty players. As much as we like to think dynasty players of ourselves as the long view, I don't have the stomach for a productive struggle or to lose now, because I always call the productive struggle the lose now, lose forever strategy. It's like I'm always trying to win, because think about this, like in a typical league, Randall, 3 people are not even trying to win from week 1. Another 2 are just negative EV, dead money. So you're really only competing with like 4 or 5 other teams every year.
Can I layer in something else that I do on top of that? Now, I don't manage my personal finances like this, but God damn it, this is America. We're not afraid of the credit system. I'm in a league right now where I'm win now. I won the league last year. I need an infusion of some younger guys, but I should be very competitive this year. I've got like I've got Stafford and Geno, and I've got Eckler and Sanders and Kupp and Diggs and Kittle. But all those guys I just mentioned are at or past the age, apex of a dynasty asset. So, but you know what? I'm gonna do well. I got second 2 years ago, won last year. I should do good again this year. I'm not afraid to trade my future first for like 202 and 303, I believe the deal was. And I could go in and I can add a Kendre Miller, and then I can add I forget who I drafted.
A-Chain or whoever.
Yeah, you can draft one of those guys. And you know what? As long as I don't in season trade my 25 first, next year come draft season, you can treat it like the competitive teams in the NFL. You can treat it like the Rams. You can treat it like the Bucs. You can continue. Eventually, at some point, future you has got to deal with today's decisions. That's in every aspect. That's in every aspect of life. But as long as you can spin it forward and manage it to a degree, you can always go in and make deals to keep your team relevant if you're contending, because someone's always hoarding future picks.
Yeah, there's always that one team that, like I said, they have like 6 first rounders or 3 first rounders, and that's what you have to keep an eye on. That's the toughest part about 30 dynasty leagues, is that it's so hard to properly manage one. And we all have our 3 or 4 favorite teams that we like, and everything else is just kind of a portfolio. I do a ton of like $50 leagues that are just, they're fun to play in. You don't mind taking some swings to the fences, but when you're in these $100, 200 and above leagues, you really want to manage this exactly what you said. It's okay to use the credit card, but just make sure you can pay that bill in a timely fashion. That's a lesson for dynasty fantasy football.
And then I'll let you move on. But then the one thing is you've got to do your homework. You've got to listen to RotoWire. You've got to listen to the Dynasty Warzone. You've got to, because you got to get the sleepers we're giving you here today. Because when you hit on those guys, that is the equity that you're going to hit drafting these guys in the 3rd and 4th round. That next off season or next rookie season, you can trade those. You can get those firsts and seconds back for these guys that, the James Robinson's a great example. He was a guy that you could have traded for a first plus after that out of nowhere rookie season. And if you had traded that future first, you could get that capital back for, and I thought Isaiah Pacheco could have been that guy this year. Oh, yeah. That you could have got nuked. So, there's a lot of ways to go about it. You just have to have an asset and an ally. And that's what Alan and I are here for. We're here to help you.
Yep. I had a lot of people ask me to ask you about Will Levis, since you were so vocal about him before the draft. He's available pick 7 through 12. I've seen him go, at the first pick of the second round in some of these. Now I'm talking quarterback premium, super flex type of situations here. Given his situation, which again, 33rd pick, that's the first pick of the second round most years. This year it's the second. By all accounts, Tennessee wanted to trade up. Are you still as bullish for fantasy football superflex drafts on Will Levis? Where should we take him?
I'm taking him. I wrote this down because I had a feeling this question may come up. I got him at 111 and 112 in 2 superflex leagues. I think anything after 108 is fair game.
But what players would you take before him, other than Bijan Robinson and the first round quarterbacks?
So for me, you would take Bijan, you would take Gibbs, you would take Stroud, you would take Young, you would take JSN, Addison. Is that 7?
That's
6. I'm missing somebody. I'm missing someone.
Quentin
in there.
Johnston?
Anthony Richardson. We missed Anthony Richardson. Right, so the QB. We only missed the QB one. So once you get past Jordan Addison, you get to that Quentin Johnston, that range, you got to look at your lineup. The 2 leagues that I took him, I'm a fan, first to admit it, but he's moved to my QB4. Also, in fairness, I got to listen to what the NFL is telling me. My opinion's good, but they do it for a living, so I have to respect it. But once you get to that point, it's like I lost a lot of Tom Brady last year. I need somebody. I'm in one league, the league that I was just referencing that I won.
Can I cut in for a second?
Sure, yeah.
Don't say that you lost Tom Brady just yet. I still think there's a...
I haven't cut him. Do not cut Tom Brady. Someone actually asked the other day in a league chat, it's like, hey, where's Tom Brady? I'm like, on my roster.
Yeah, 5% chance he's the San Francisco quarterback or Miami quarterback week 1.
If you're Stephen Ross, don't you want to get your money's worth for losing that first-round pick? I mean, I know I would. Cost me $1 million, a first-round pick, a suspension, and now I can do it without tampering. Yeah, I just might have to go get my money's worth. But here's the thing. Sometimes in life, things happen that work out in your favor. Would you consider Mike Vrabel to be a top 10 NFL head coach?
A top 6 or 5.
And would you say that Rand Carthen has the potential to be a very good general manager in this league after what he's learned with John Lynch and the guys out in San Francisco?
I'd bet on it, yes.
Ryan Tannehill knows this is his last year. He's kind of in YOLO mode. He's made his money. He knows he's on the way out. And why not? The legacy that you leave as any leader are the people you leave behind. And why not mentor him? And then if Tannehill gets hurt again or is playing like ass again, which are both completely possible, then Will Levis is going to get a shot. I wish they had more weapons, but as of today, they still have Derrick Henry. I had to say nice things about Traylon Burks on my podcast the other day. That hurt. That hurt bad. They got Okonkwo, the tight end. Kyle Phillips is okay. Not the best weapons in the league, but you know what? I don't think he's ever going to look back and regret landing with Mike Vrabel, just like Lamar Jackson didn't regret landing with John Harbaugh, just like Patrick Mahomes doesn't regret landing with Andy Reid. He got passed over for Deshaun Watson, who went to Houston. He got passed over for Mitch Trubisky, and that's okay because Will Levis's best comparable on-player profiler is Jay Cutler. You know what? Jay Cutler went to a mid-tier SEC school in Vanderbilt. He got passed over for the superpower quarterbacks. He got passed over for Vince Young. He was a quote-unquote all-timer. He got passed over for a Matt Leinart. And you know what? He landed in Denver with a good organization. Now, and he eventually got traded. He landed with an offensive coach and Mike Shanahan.
You're talking about Cutler still.
It's not an apples-to-apples comparison, but you can see where falling sometimes helps you as a player. And I think Mike Vrabel could be the kind of leader that helps Will Levis develop from a maturity, because that seems to be the bugaboo about him. The decision-making and the maturity, I think that go a long way toward helping him. But as of today for Dynasty, I have to call him my 4.
In your points per maturity league, don't draft Will Levis, right? But
he is behind Stetson. Well, I don't know. Stetson Bennett got arrested for like a public. So yeah, he's still probably 4 or 5. Him and Hooker.
One of my, in my Dynasty Fantasy Football Manifesto, I always draft the weed guy that used to fall. That was always my thing. Like, if he's falling because of weed, back in the day, like, I'm drafting him. If he's falling because of maturity and he's a QB in Superflex, I draft him. So I'm with you there anytime. Why Jordan Addison ahead of him if we know that Will Levis is going to be a starting quarterback? Addison, to me,
volume. It's a volume-based business. That's a tremendous offense. I don't remember exactly how many pass attempts Kirk Cousin had last year. It was like.
Let me ask you this, though.
Sure.
If somebody took Will Levis in a Superflex rookie draft ahead of Addison, you wouldn't tell them they're wrong. You would just like something you wouldn't do.
Guys, everybody has to. This is your money. This is your league. I'm going to keep it clean, but you're taking care of this. This is your job to take care of this. You got to be the steward of your business, is the way that I'll say it. And if you're in a position to where you need a quarterback, you're never getting one cheaper than in your rookie first-round pick. Would you have preferred Young or Stroud or Richardson? Sure you would have. But you're never going to get him cheaper. And he still shares so many traits in common with Josh Allen, with Justin Herbert, that if he hits, if he matures, if we look back in 2 years and he's a top 10 dynasty asset, I will not be surprised because he's got all the physical tools. He's worked in a pro-style offense 2 seasons in a row, and if he can develop, we all can. And I see the comment there. Yeah, I'll take the weed guy too. Because think about 2018. Where were you getting Josh Allen in startups?
How about even more recently with Justin Herbert? Isn't that the best case scenario right there?
How many people are kicking themselves for falling for the Alabama guy, the big name guy, the Louis Vuitton guy? Because he came out of the premium program and passed on the guy who was 6'6", had a cannon for an arm, and came out of a mid-tier Power 5 program. Did he eat bananas with the peels? No. Did he put mayonnaise in his coffee? Yeah, Probably not.
The comparison that I made, it's funny that you said you used like a fashion comparison, because I always say we went for the IPA beer when the Budweiser was sitting right there tasting the ice cold Bud. There's nothing like it, right?
He's like great value. Like, you go to Walmart, they have like the Pepsi and the Coke products, and then like on down they have great value. He could be like Dr. Thunder. Now, if you weren't balling on a budget, because if you want Stroud or Young, you got to pay Dr. Pepper prices. Maybe you're on a Dr. Thunder budget, but you still need a beverage. That's Will Levis of quarterbacks.
And the last thing I'll say about Levis before we move on is that I would say I'm making this number up, but there's a 15% chance that Ryan Tannehill could be traded to the Atlanta Falcons because Coach Arthur Smith, man, that's the guy that can run his system. I mean, the Falcons would probably, if they see that Desmond Ridder can't run that system and that Tannehill, he knows can run the system, and it takes like a 4th-round pick. I don't know what the finances are, but it sounds like Tennessee would be more than willing to start him quicker if they needed to. So I would look out for that. I think that's a possibility.
I love that call. I hadn't thought of it because I think that's a winnable division. Who's going to run away with the NFC South? Nobody.
If Tannehill was there, you would almost say like they're 10 wins in that division.
They're it's a coin flip between them. It's like a three-way wrestling match. It's them, it's Carolina, because they do have a good defense there in Carolina, and then New Orleans.
Rookie quarterback though.
Yeah. Tampa Bay is going to be a dumpster fire all year long, and I think that's kind of by design. But yeah, you get Ryan Tannehill. I mean, who are you competing? You're trying to out Derek Carr, the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah,
that's very possible.
Yeah, I would say that, and again, the connection with Arthur Smith is what made me think of it. And I would almost say that if they do get Tannehill, they're almost as a high confidence bet to win that division as we think of Jacksonville to win the AFC South. I think that would be similar.
And I think if I remember correctly, Ridder had a couple of injury issues, and he's like not the healthiest guy around. So maybe there's still a trade deadline. So you can go all the way to about Halloween and Ryan Tannehill, and that's kind of when I think if you're the Titans, especially if you're not doing well, and that's another reason why I like Tennessee is that if Tannehill's playing well, they're going to have a good enough draft pick in 2024. They won't be able to get a quarterback, and he's going to get a couple of years.
With our last segment here, let's talk about a couple more of the wide receivers you like. Because when I'm in this second round of my rookie drafts, I mean, the guys that kind of go there are Josh Downs, and I'm not in this order, Jonathan Mingo. You'll see Jalen Hyatt creep there sometimes, Rashee Rice from Kansas City, Marvin Mims. So you already, Jaden Reed, the one that was drafted by Green Bay. So these guys are in a tier. Which one of them do you think has the best chance to be like, oh my God, we did this with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We did this with Brandon Ayuk, and they have different draft capital situations. But which one of the second round rookie ADP guys do you think qualifies as a sleeper right now?
Marvin Mims, and I'll tell you, it's not even remotely close between him and the rest of those guys. I like messaging. Sean Payton had exactly, 5 rookie picks this entire season. And his very first one, not his first skill guy, not his first pass catcher, his very first overall draft pick as the head coach of the Denver Broncos was Marvin Mims. He is listed on our lads as the backup to Tim Patrick. I believe Tim Patrick's coming back off of an ACL injury. There's rumors that Judy or Sutton or both could be on the move. He's listed, like I said, as the backup behind Tim Patrick, but I think he could play the slot just as easy if Jerry Jeudy were to get traded or get hurt. He is literally an eyelash away from being in a very productive offense, and he's a guy that I cannot believe, in spite of all the good messaging, the landing spot, I think people are blinded by Sutton and Judy being there ahead of him and don't realize, how good Sean Payton offenses actually are. They're downgrading the fact that Russell Wilson had the worst year of his career last year, and what the upside of this offense is in a division where they have to keep up with the Chiefs and Chargers. Give me Marvin Mims all day long of that group.
Yeah, and on a 10,000-foot view of that, I like that call, by the way, is that the Broncos were expensive last year. And even with the upgraded system with Sean Payton, they're discount. They're the dollar bin this year, where you can get all of those guys. I mean, Judy's the most expensive, and in redraft, he's a 5th-round pick. I mean, Sutton is 3 rounds later, and obviously you just talked about the rookie Mims and Tim Patrick and, of course, Russell Wilson. All right, how about Jaden Reed? The Green Bay Packers took him in round 2. I got him in the 3rd round of a very smart rookie draft. I mean, again, 3.1, I auto-clicked it. Is he qualify as someone that the smart dynasty players are going to be taking, or did I land on a grenade?
I think from a talent perspective, you got a steal there. I just think that there's a lot of unprovenness in Green Bay. The quarterback's unproven. Everybody's role, whether it's Romeo Doubs, whether it's Christian Watson, we talked about Musgrave, Kraft. There's a lot of guys there. And it's like, I know Cooper Kupp's Matt Stafford's guy. I know Stephon Diggs is Josh Allen's guy. I don't know who's the guy there. Someone's going to be the guy. Someone's going to come in, they're going to have an established rapport with Jordan Love, and that's going to be the guy that you want. I don't know who that is yet, but I will say if it is Jaden Reed, and we were listening to Matt Kelly just the other day, he feels very strongly. Theo Grimminger feels very strongly that it's going to be Jaden Reed. So I think you can't land on a grenade in the third round. First of all, it's dynasty.
But you only get one pick there. If it was Marvin Mims ends up being the guy, and I took the Marvin Mims goes a little earlier. That's what I'm just saying is who's got the better. You're right. Everything's
you
upside.
Did fine. You did fine. For me, I like him. I like Rashee Rice. That's a good one. But the one I don't think we're talking enough about is Jalen Hyatt. I like a dude with a chip on his shoulder. Did you see the tweet floating around?
I just want to make sure it's people getting up to speed. Jalen Hyatt went in the third round of the real NFL draft, drafted by the Giants.
Yes, Jalen Hyatt. That there was that tweet going around of him with the Dallas Cowboys, receiver coach talking about, he was basically all speed, and he's like, I'm not all speed. Right. I like a guy. He's very articulate. He seems like a smart young man. There's not a ton of competition. Again. Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, just a bunch of. I do like Wandale. He'll be coming off the ACL. I think this is a guy who could come in and establish himself. Right. And again, I like the offense. I like the opportunity. So those are some guys. But of that group, a name that I would throw in there would be Jalen Hyatt.
All right, if you enjoy videos like this and you want more content, just do us a favor, click that like button if you'd like. If not, it's okay. We're gonna entertain you anyway here. Here with Randell, Memphis Young. All his information is linked in the video description below. He's one of the best follows on Twitter. I mean, I make sure that I just became connected with you through our mutual friend Theo Grimminger, but I'm glad I did because I really enjoy your energy on Twitter and the content you put out. Your podcast now is appointment viewing for me, so I advise everyone that likes this to check it out too. You'll get a lot of great information. I want to talk about Tank Dell, undersized wide receiver. He went in the third round of the real NFL draft. Does that sound about right?
I know. Xavier Hutchinson went in the sixth. I think it was the third because that was the two guys that stood out. That was part of their draft day haul from the weapons standpoint.
So, it's not often. I mean, I know he's undersized. He's 5'8", 160-something pounds, if that. But fourth round of rookie drafts, and he's a good route runner. Is this qualify as a sleeper, or am I drafting Tutu Atwell?
I think you're drafting a guy that I'm more than happy to have shares of. I want him on my team because I believe John Mechie's the guy there. Rooting for that guy coming back from leukemia. I really hope he has a tremendous season. But outside of that, outside of the fact that I'm rooting for him, I don't know who the man is. It's the Green Bay situation. Is it Hutchinson? Is it Dell? Is it Nico Collins? And they do have a veteran in there. Bobby Trees wound up there. Bobby Woods.
Hey, by the way, draft capital, 6th pick of the third round for Dell.
That's tremendous draft capital. I know Mechie was the 12th pick of the second round last year, so that could be their guys. And, those are those guys that I really like, the guys who operate close to the line of scrimmage. The big body clashers on the outside with Hutchinson and Nico Collins, those guys I would consider more of that grenade that could blow up on you. These guys that are fast and can get the ball in their hands and turn the ball upfield and get those yak yards. Yeah, out of those guys, I think take Dell's a fine. Right there in that mix with Mims, Hyatt, Rashee Rice. I have no problem with that guy.
2 rounds later, too. I've never seen him go anywhere before 4.3, 4.5. I mean, again, I usually take running backs in that range that can ascend, as we've talked about a couple times, the RB3 on their depth chart. But when you see a guy like with that draft capital fall and his skill set translates to NFL production as far as route running, I'm interested.
Did he have a punt returning profile? I do not remember.
Don't know.
I would just say this. So this is, we're going to give the listeners and viewers some homework. Double check Tank Dell's college stats. If you can maybe bump him up a little bit over these guys, if he had some punt returning in there, because I cannot recall. The guys that have that punt returning dog in them, our friend Cody Carpentier, he has his dog rating. The guy that has that little bit of extra dog from returning punts, we'll give him a couple of pick bump.
So I'm looking right now, special teams yards for Tank Dell. Nothing in 22, but in 21 and 20 had 200 and 130 yards respectively. So I would qualify that as someone who played on special teams until they were a full-time starter.
Then that definitely worth that current ADP draft capital.
All right, we got a few minutes left here. So anyone that you think qualifies as a sleeper, let's go lightning round. Give us the name. Give us the elevator pitch on why we should draft them as they continue to move up in value.
This time last year, Mel Kiper Jr. just released his 2024 mock draft. You know that all these guys kind of have to. It's their job. It's like you have to do your job, I have to do mine. That's their job. This time last year when Mel Kiper did that, he had a guy in the top 10 picks named Kayshon Boutte. He went in the 6th round, I think it was the 5th or 6th round, to the New England Patriots. And he is listed as the backup to Devontae Parker. A, not a very healthy guy. B, I think he can get out there. And then the other guys on the team are Tyquan Thornton, Kendrick Bourne, and Juju Smith-Schuster. And it's a very big fall from grace to go from a projected top 10 pick a year ago at this time to like a 5th, 6th rounder this year. But I like Bill O'Brien. I like Bill O'Brien, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, and the GM, different Bill O'Brien. But I like the situation. Give me Kayshon Boutte there.
Quick question. Boutte or Tank Dell for fantasy football?
But give me Boutte. Yes, 100%. I believe more in the offensive coordinator. I think Mac Jones will be a better quarterback in 23.
It's a question, though. It is a question.
It is, but I will say because of his Devy and college pedigree, if you get equal production out of both of them, Boutte's draft and trade value is just going to be exponential because everybody's going to go, see, I told you he was good. He just had a bad year last year.
Right. Tank Dell could have 3 80-yard games and no one's paying you a second round.
You're buying the brand. You're getting as much the Kayshon Boutte brand as you are the production.
All right, give me another.
Let's see here. From a running back or a wide receiver?
Running back.
Okay, I'll give you Sean Tucker. Went undrafted. I'm biased. I liked him coming out, but
Out of Syracuse. Sean Tucker.
Out of Syracuse, 5'9", good pass catcher. Was a high level sprinter in the 60 meter in college. Fast, like a 4.4 fast guy.
Why did he go undrafted?
I think the health concerns. To be real honest, like he was trying to do like his own homemade combine. I don't think like he barely got passed for the medicals. The running back position's devalued, but the guys ahead of him are Chase Edmonds, like on his 5th team, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Patrick Laird. I mean, if you can't beat out one of those 3 guys, and we're all excited for Rashad, White, but he's not that far removed from a real opportunity on an NFL team. It may not be a good one this year, but Baker checks down, and you're going to need bodies at the running back position. I think he could fill that role.
Couple lightning round questions before we wrap up. At this point, Bijan Robinson, RB1 in Dynasty, don't even think twice about it.
Why are you wasting your time? If you have the 101, submit the card, unless you're going to get like a king's ransom.
I meant in a startup situation.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I can't do it yet. I want to see. I'm sorry. I'm not from Missouri. I'm not the show me state guy. But until I see you do it at the NFL level, to be the man, Ric Flair said it best, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, that for me is Breece Hall. I know he's coming off the ACL, but I did move Bijan up to my 2. I had to move him ahead of Kenny Walker. I had to move him ahead of JT. I had to, because is JT going to get 18 rushing touchdowns anymore? No, he's not, because Anthony Richardson's going to soak some of those up. We saw that in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts. Is he going to get a lot of those check? So people that don't realize this, his first 2 years in the league, JT averaged 300 receiving yards a year. Right. Most of that's going to go away. This is not a check down offense. So I have to be honest. I know what Arthur Smith can do with a running back, but until I can't put him at the 1. He's my 2, but I did move him up. But
if he's 2, then that's fine. Like, I mean, the obvious case against Breece Hall is listen, either you're an injury optimist or you're not. I am not. I'm the extreme of not injury optimist. He tore. I know it's Dynasty. We're playing, in the league that we hope lasts for 15 years. But week 7 ACL, these guys never come back 100%. Now, even if Breece Hall comes back and he's 88% of what he once was, that's amazing. That's RB1, RB2 in Dynasty. But I'm just saying, week 7, you're already basically punting the first half of the year, and it's probably more going to look like J.K. Dobbins last year than it is Adrian Peterson when he came back. But I understand what you're saying. I can't take that guy as the first running back off the board, given the timing of that injury and what it projects for the next year and a half.
I completely respect that side of the opinion, but by week 2, no one in the NFL is 100%. So for me, I am getting Aaron Rodgers as opposed to Desmond Ritter. I'm getting Garrett Wilson. I'm getting Randall Cobb of all people. I'm getting the offensive lineman that they got in the second round. They made improvement. They get Mekhi Becton back. And again, Aaron Rodgers. We've seen what Aaron Rodgers was able to do with talents like Aaron Jones. Nothing against Aaron Jones. He's been fine. But it's going to be a different offense. If you liked what you've seen the last 5-6 years with Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers, wait till you get a load of what he can do with Breece Hall. That's all I'm saying.
All right, everybody. Memphis, you did it, brother. You did it. You came here. You slayed. The audience loves you. There's no doubt we're going to have you back. I enjoy this. I enjoy you. I'm glad we connected. If you have any questions about any of the players that Randall Young talked about, you could DM him. All his links are in the video description below. And right now, what we're going to do is we're going to give everyone 2 days of RotoWire Premium for free. You don't have to do anything. Just go to rotowire.com/pod, that's POD, put in your email, and the paywall is going to unlock for 2 days. No credit card to put in, nothing to cancel. The only thing you do is go to rotowire.com/pod and give them you talked about your podcast. Is there anything else right now that you want people to know about?
No, I just want you to support the YouTubes, guys. YouTube is the #1 way to help aspiring podcasts. I listen to podcasts on my phone. If you're watching on YouTube, I listen to dozens of podcasts a week. I love them. I happen to have a vocation where I'm able to do that. But YouTube, it is the freest, easiest way. Interacting with the videos is great if you're able, but subscribing and helping us build our subscriber count, whether that's the RotoWire podcast, Player Profiler, or Dynasty Warzone. Just go to YouTube right now, unless you're driving a truck or a car or especially a motorcycle. What are you doing watching YouTube? But go to YouTube.
Real man does it while he's driving.
I'm gonna caution you to listen to the audio version. When you're at a red light, you can subscribe to all these. But be safe out there. We want you to be safe because we want you to be in our Dynasty leagues and enjoy the game of Dynasty Fantasy Football with Alan and I.
All right, if you have any questions about any of the players, you could DM Randall, you could DM me. And until then, man, let us know in the comments where you're taking these players in your Dynasty leagues. Good luck, everybody, in your rookie drafts. We'll see you next week.